Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another 4chan Stories video, and today we're getting into some strange 4chan stories. You guys have been loving all of these 4chan Stories videos, and I've been loving recording them, so, here's another one. And please like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps a lot. And these stories are scary, strange, unique, and just super entertaining, so thanks so much for stopping by. And yeah, that wraps up the intro, so let's get into some strange 4chan stories. I've got something fresh. You guys should appreciate this. Years ago when I was 16, in high school, lived in not quite a city, more like an old town that expanded more than it really could support. Decent amount of rundown and abandoned buildings. Get into a kind of urban exploration kick, sneaking into places and checking them out. Occasionally engage in minor looting, sometimes you find neat stuff. Managed to talk a few friends into coming with me sometimes, but only 3 are relevant for this story. One was an old buddy of mine who I'll be calling Bill, and another was a girl I had a minor crush on, who I'll call Susan. The last one is the most important. He told us his name was Eli, and there's probably not much point in censoring anything for him. Bill, Susan, and I all went to the same school, but I met Eli when I was checking out some old restaurant. Spooked the hell out of me, because I had just snuck in through a window, and he speaks up from right fucking behind me. He thought it was funny as hell. We get to talking. I tell him about my hobby and ask if he's doing something similar. Yeah, more or less. I like to keep an eye out for unusual things, or things that don't belong. Okay. Seems kind of weird, but he's friendly. And I'm running around scavenging junk in a half-wrecked diner or whatever, so I can't talk. We chat for a bit. Turns out Eli doesn't go to my school, which explains why I've never seen him around before. He listens more than he talks, and doesn't volunteer much info about himself. But I don't want to pry too much, and he seems alright. We clamber back out. I startle a cat that was sitting by the window. Eli pets it before it runs off. Part on good terms. A week or so later, I'm hanging out with Bill, showing him this old 3-story apartment building or motel or something. Planning the expedition like we're getting away with the heist of the century. Suddenly, still exploring? Jesus, fuck Eli. From behind me again. Bill actually jumps and I laugh at him, like I hadn't nearly spoiled myself. Introduce the two. They seem to hit it off well enough. Ask Eli if he wants to come with us to explore the place Friday night. He just kind of looks at me for a second, then tilts his head and stares at the building. Good 10 seconds of silence. Yeah, might be a good idea. Neat. Friday night rolls around. I manage to talk Susan into coming with us, so it's me, Bill, and her. And Eli, when he finally shows up. I'm watching this time. You bastard, not again. He casually strolls down the street in plain view with his hands in his pockets. He's grinning at me. He knows I was expecting another jump scare. Whatever. I introduce him to Susan. We're all friends now, let's rock. So it's about 7 p.m., still got some lights out. We're standing outside the place. Building is kind of dilapidated and boarded up, but shouldn't be too dangerous to wander around in, and we've all got flashlights. Also, apparently, a nesting ground for stray cats because I can see 3 of them sitting in what was probably an old flower bed or something, and another just darted under the front steps. The front's still locked up, but there's a side door that doesn't properly close anymore. It looks like it used to be boarded up, but that had rotted off. I may have helped it along. So we enter the building. This was a bad idea. The place is mostly normal. Old, dirty, has that slight moldy, decrepit wreck smell all abandoned places tend to have. We wander around the ground floor a bit. Nothing really interesting, it's mostly just a lobby. Figure we might just find something more interesting on the 2nd or 3rd floors. That's where the rooms are. The 3 of us are joking around, but Eli's pretty quiet. Whatever. We go into a room, he just kind of stares into it from the doorway, then paces around the halls. Whatever works for him, I guess. The rooms are all empty though. Guess they cleared the place out pretty good when they left it. Only thing we saw was a few more cats starting down the halls. We look around for maybe 30 more minutes before deciding to call it quits. Not a bad time, but I'm a little disappointed we didn't find someone's old luggage full of plus-size ballerina outfits or something. So we head down the hall and keep going down the stairs. Conversation peters off. Why are there so many steps here? Did we get turned around and go down the wrong stairwell somehow? Maybe we're coming out of the basement. Starting to smell kind of funky, probably some nasty mold down there. But there's the door, so let's see where it goes. Eli hasn't said anything for the last 10 minutes. Turns out to be in another hallway of rooms. The 4 of us are standing by the stairwell, looking down the hall. kind of confused. Subterranean apartments are kind of an odd choice. We decide to go back up and find the right stairs again. Eli is at the base of the stairs, looking up. I ask him what's up, and look where he's looking. Something is standing at the top of the alcove. My first reaction is that we're about to get shanked by a drunken homeless man. Then things start registering. It's big, but kind of squashed and wide. Like if a person was stretched out from the sides, and its legs are even more disproportionately short and stumpy. What I thought was a really grimy coat is actually long, tangled, really ratty looking hair or fur covering its body. Can't even see its eyes, just hair. There's a mouth though. I can tell because it starts screaming at us. The mouth is too wide. It looks like it starts on the side of its head, and there aren't any teeth. Just thick lips and spittle. I almost would have preferred shark teeth or something. There was just something really revolting about the gaping, empty mouth. The noise itself is just terrifying. I can't even describe it other than to say it's not a sound that a person can make. Like it went into my ear and started throttling the caveman part of your brain that identifies threats. It started to stagger down towards us, still screaming. We were all screaming, except Eli, who was shoving me back into the hallway and manhandling the others into running. We didn't need much encouragement. We're sprinting as fast as we could down a dark corridor with God knows what screeching behind us. It's not very fast, but we can hear it chasing us with uneven stomps. The flashlights help, but we're moving so spastically, it's throwing crazy shadows all over the place, which does not help our state of mind. There's another stairwell on the other side of the hall. If we can go back up, we can find the way out. Except it only goes down. There's no fucking up staircase, just a wall. Susan's sobbing by now. I'm not far off myself. Eli shoves us forward again so we don't stop moving and we go down. The hallway down here goes forward a lot further than the other floors. The ceiling is a lot higher than it seems. It should be for how far down we went. That rancid smell from earlier is a lot worse. And we can still hear the thing half tumbling down the stairs after us. I'm about to start running again when Eli sprints past us towards one of the doors and wrenches it open. In. It's safer. I guess we're hiding. No one argues, probably because we're all still so freaked out, we'll take even a slightly helpful direction at this point. We run into the room. I almost freeze up because there's something in there with us. It's another cat. Eli's standing in front of the door, holding it closed. No one moves. No one even breathes. Hear the thing gurgle and scream and gallop towards our room. Then, from farther away, a loud feline yowl. Then several more. The thing roars again and we hear it go past us. I'm looking at the cat sitting in the middle of the floor. It's staring at Eli. A few seconds go by and he quietly opens the door again. The stairs are just fucking gone. It's hallway in both directions. One of us is making a high-pitched whimpering noise. I'm not sure who, but I wouldn't rule out any of us right now. Stressful doesn't quite cover it. The screaming's coming back. I think to go back into the room again, but Eli's already moving down the hall. The cat's following him. Susan goes after him. So does Bill. I hesitate by the first room for a second, torn between hiding in there again and making another run for it in the open. Decide I don't want to be alone more than I want to be in that room, and I run after them. I nearly freak the fuck out when something brushes my leg. It's another cat running beside me. Nothing hurting me, just ignore it. Eli's ushering Susan and Bill into another room ahead of me. I see them hesitate for a second before entering. Eli is staring at me now, holding the door open. I hear the scream again. I run through the doorway and stumble to the top as Eli closes it behind me. Bill and Susan are there, and so are the cats. Like dozens of them. The room's full of them. Bill's just standing there, twitching, and I can hear him repeating, fuck, 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 very quietly. Susan's sitting on the floor half curled into a ball. There's a circle of cats standing around them. Some of them are watching them, but the others are staring out into the room. All the other cats are either stalking around or sitting and staring into space. Getting freaked out again. This is not normal behavior. Hey. And then there's Eli, who is much too calm for the situation, and has somehow acquired a platoon of disturbingly focused alley cats. Seriously, there's maybe 6 of them at his sides, and his back following his steps. Stay here. You'll be okay. I'll make it stop. Too fucking panicked to question him. Also, don't really know what the hell he's pulling with these cats, and suddenly don't want him focusing in on me. Susan proves she has bigger balls than me, and manages to ask him what's happening. When he looks at her, so do all the cats following him at the same time. What the fuck, Eli? Stay. You're safe with us. I'll come back. And then he walks out with his cat followers and closes the door behind him. The cats apparently left to guard us deliberately open a path for me to stand next to Bill and Susan, so I stand with them. They circle us again. Not sure how long we sat there. My sense of time was pretty screwed by then. Then finally, there was another sound. Except I didn't really hear it. It was more like I could feel the vibration, like it was very, very loud but too low of a pitch for me to hear. It made my hair stand on end and my whole body just locked up. Every damn cat is standing up and staring in the same direction. Ears back, tails down, eyes wide and huge and reflective. It stops after maybe half a minute, and the cats suddenly act like normal cats again. The ones circling us get up and wander around. A minute later, Eli abruptly walks back in. He looks fine, not a scratch on him, but he's lightly splattered with a disturbingly vicious pitch black liquid, except for his right arm, which is coated up to the elbow with the stuff. I don't want to know. I do not want to know. The cats start filtering out the door. We can go now. I don't really have a lot of clarity for a bit afterwards. I vaguely remember walking, then running out of the building. Everything was normal again. The exit was easy to find. Bill booked it to the second he was outside. No looking back. A couple cats followed him, though. Susan and I stood outside with Eli for a few minutes. She tried asking him what happened, but he just shrugged and said not to worry. He took care of it. If I wasn't still so terrified, I'd have been pissed at not getting an actual answer. We all went home. Eli walked back and some of the way with me. Susan got another entourage of cats. We didn't talk about anything else, and when I could see my house, I felt Eli pat me on the shoulder from behind. He was just gone when I turned around. When Susan and I talked about it a few days later, she swore he'd walked home with her and that I had walked off with a cat party. Shit, skipped a bit. Meant to go right before. Needless to say, the urban exploration fucking stopped. We never saw Eli again. I looked around a little bit, but I wasn't sure I wanted to find him. Susan did, though. Holy shit, did she want to find him. Pretty sure she put up a missing person posters at some point. No luck, though. Torpedoed any chances I had with her. Eli was all she talked about. Bill refused to discuss it at all. Didn't even want to talk to me or Susan much. Think he was trying to put as much distance between him and that night as possible. He picked up a drug habit a couple months afterwards, and from what little I got him to talk to me about it, he'd apparently retroactively decided that night was just a hallucination from bad weed or whatever. Despite him never having touched this stuff until well after everything went down, and all three of us having the same experience when I'd never taken drugs in my life, and Susan definitely hadn't. Self-delusion's a hell of a thing. Back in the present, moved the hell out of the town, so did Bill. Susan's still there, we still talk semi-regularly. She works at an animal shelter. She owns 3 cats. I don't have any room to judge. When I was looking to move out of my own apartment, the first thing I asked the landlords was their policy on pets. I bought a cat the first day I moved in. Bill actually left the state entirely. Still won't acknowledge as weird anything happened back then. We still don't talk much these days. But once I spoke to him on the phone, he admitted that he keeps cats as well. 6 of them. So to sum everything up, I was attacked by an eldritch hobo Bigfoot, then rescued and cock-blocked by a magical catboy. Thanks, Eli. You son of a bitch. Hey, I actually have one to tell that I just remembered. One day, I'm 12 years old or so. My mom sits me down to talk with me after work. Really strange. She never does this, and it was out of the blue. Tells me she has a story about when she was a kid, and it's going to sound a bit weird, but she has to tell someone. She told her dad, but he's since passed away, and someone else has to know. Anyway, story goes, my mom was about my age when she moved into a house with her dad. They were always moving every few years, never staying in one place for too long. This house is older, in an old part of town, but is pretty nice. Mom gets the feeling she's being watched, but doesn't tell her dad about it. Has many nightmares and has to sleep in bed with her dad a lot, but tries to be brave. Dad doesn't get a lot of sleep either. Mom spends a lot of time home alone because her dad was always busy at work, so she would take the day to explore the house and neighborhood and then barricade herself in her father's room at night, waiting for him to come home at midnight or later. During her daytime exploration, she becomes obsessed with finding secret passageways as she'd read about them in books and had a dream about one. Behind the fireplace in the living room, she finds a panel that's loose, and she pulls it off, revealing a door. She opens it, and it opens outward. She steps in. Now this is a part that really hurt her to tell me about. Behind the fireplace, it was warm and kind of dark, and there were a few dark alcoves. She's on her hands and knees and looks into one of them, and leaned up against the side is a corpse with blood on it. She screams and hits her head on the low ceiling and frantically tries to escape, but the door she came in is blocked by something on the outside. She bangs against the door, but it hardly budges. She's screaming, crying, hyperventilating. My mom is in tears, telling the story, and she never cries. I'm shaken up. She turns around and she sees the outline of the corpse in the dark, still sitting there propped up against the wall. Mom can't escape and is certain she's gonna die. Starts hitting her elbows against the wall and even smashes her head against the door. She's absolutely losing it. She is trapped here for hours as the sun goes down and all remaining light disappears. Somewhere in there is the corpse. Outside, she hears the back door unlock and her dad walk inside. She starts screaming and pounding on the door, and her dad rushes over to the fireplace. A heavy scraping sound, and she shoves the door open and he pulls her out. He's absolutely stunned. Mom crying as she points into the hidden room and describes the body to her dad and how she was trapped there. She looks over and sees that somehow someone had dragged the safe her dad had in front of the door while she was in without her hearing. Her dad hugs her tight and grabs a flashlight and crawls into the opening. He shines it around and explores the whole thing. There's no body, and he explains that to my mom. She tells him that it is there, and he believes her. He tells her he saw something strange once. Somehow, the corpse had disappeared. He assures her that he will sell the house soon, and they will move out in a week. He closes the door and puts the panel back on, nails the door shut, and moves the safe in front of it. That night, the two of them don't sleep. Grandpa arranges to pick up my mom and bring him to work, but one of his asshole managers won't let him bring her on the days he's supervising, which is 3 a week. After school one day, my mom spends the entire time locked in her dad's room doing homework. She hears a sound of a pop, and something unlatches behind her. A panel on the wall next to her father's bed had swung open like a door and creaked before it hit the wall. Mom is scared but curious, grabs flashlight, and leans over the bed to peer into the space. This doorway is almost as tall and wide as her dad, but leads into a short, narrow hallway with some steep stairs at the end. She is too scared to explore, so she is about to reach for the panel and close it when a pounding on her father's door starts. The door starts shaking as if it's about to give away. She runs into the opening and slams the hidden door shut behind her. Trapped in darkness, save for a flashlight beam. Here's a crack, and the bedroom door breaks open. Heavy, slow footsteps in the room that pace around the bed and back again before settling next to the hidden door. Mom retreats slowly back up the stairs at the end of the passage. This leads her to a crawl space area above the second floor, and she follows one of the paths leading towards her room. As she goes along, she notices little vents and openings that one could peer out of. Finally, she reaches the area above her room and sees her bed in plain view. If someone was up there, they could have easily watched her without her seeing them. The house had ornate woodwork, and this peephole was hidden up there somewhere on the molding. She's paralyzed by the fear of it and whatever is in her father's bedroom. She stays up there for some time. She said about an hour. Back door unlocks, and her father walks up in the stairs to find his bedroom door broken. He panics and shouts for my mom. She answers him, but it's muffled, and she crawls back the way she came. Opens hidden door and steps out to find her shocked father. Explains what happened to him. He examines the passages and is deeply disturbed. That night, he quits his job as they won't let him take the night off. Nowhere for them to stay until the house is sold, and there it is, freezing cold and snowing out. They call the police to report the intrusion, but the police are busy with other things at the moment and promise to send an officer as soon as possible. Grandpa decides out of desperation to try spending the night at the neighbors. The two of them dress up in warm clothes and gather bags to spend the night. By now, there's a foot or two of snow out, and they walk to the neighbor's house. Grandpa knocks on the door, but nobody answers. Rings the doorbell, and no response. Heads to the next house. Nobody answers. Then the next. Crosses the street to try again, and tries 5 different houses. Both are panicking and starting to freeze. They head back to spend the night in his car, but when they approach it, all the windows have been smashed. Terrified and nearly freezing, they head back inside. Grandpa's door is busted, so they spend the night in my mom's room. Moves her dresser in front of the door, and he locates the peephole and stuffs it full of some cotton. The two, of course, never sleep. They take turns reading a book, waiting for the sun to rise, until late in the night they hear something scraping against the floor downstairs. It's the safe, being pushed along the floor. The two look at each other, and Grandpa hugs her tightly. They both have tears in their eyes, and Grandpa runs over to grab a knife he had by the table. Then they start hearing the creaking as the thing walks up the stairs and slowly towards Mom's room. My mom is shaking and silently sobbing while her dad holds her tight. The thing starts slamming on the door, absolutely wailing on it. Grabs Mom and runs over to the window and pulls it open and looks below. It's not too big of a fall, and there's 2 or 3 feet of snow built up there. Grabs my mom, and the two of them look at the door as it shakes with each hit. Holds her tight and jumps into a snow pile, landing on his feet very hard. Curses in pain and looks up as a final crash is heard. A figure moves into view and stands by the window. It's the corpse my mother had seen, but with new life in it. Blood dripping down it, eyes appear to be missing, just dark sockets. Tilts its head to one side and looks down at them. Grandpa runs as fast as he can through the snow while carrying my mom. Keeps going for blocks and blocks through the showerless snow in the road. Eventually, he reaches downtown and runs into a 7-Eleven, begs the manager, and he agrees to let them spend the night in the store. The two fall asleep on the floor in the back office. In the morning, Grandpa decides nobody can live in that evil house, returns to his home, and torches it. Burns down entirely save for the foundation, the fireplace, and the secret room behind the fireplace, all brick. He made it look like an accident, and the inspectors buy it. Police are a bit suspicious because of the call to the police the night before and the broken glass on his car, but decides it's not worth their time. Not like he's trying insurance fraud or anything, and he's an outstanding citizen. The two move away to live with family after that. Grandpa passes away not too long ago. Mom takes me to see the side of the house a week later. Somebody had rebuilt it around the brick foundation. She bursts into tears, and we drive away. Never talk about it again. Now, after writing all of this, I have to add that little 12-year-old me was very skeptical of the paranormal and even of this. She told the story so well, but I had to wonder if she was somehow pulling my leg. She's never done anything like that to me, though. To this day, it sounds like too much of a movie, yet she swore to me that it happened, and she was so disturbed by it. Okay, I'm not sure if anyone else out there will find this story very creepy, but it's certainly the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. So I might as well share. At this point, I like to think that I've been around long enough to realize that there's more crazy shit happening in the world than there are explanations. And I'd say this falls into that heading. If anyone out there can actually explain everything away, please do. It would make me feel a whole lot better about the situation. A few years back, I was enlisted in the US Coast Guard, hoping to save lives, stop bad guys, and just be an all-around hero. The kind of mindset that most younger guys have at that time. The reality of what I've gotten myself into was a lot more frustratingly mundane than what I'd hoped for, and consisted of a lot more cleaning/field daying, running basic training drills, and just constantly trying to keep various qualifications up to standard, as well as gain new ones. When this story took place, I was still pretty new to the entire thing. I was in for less than a year, and I'd been stationed at a little small boat station on the coast of Maine. I'd grown up in a small fishing town myself, so I was used to having nothing to do but work, drink, and trying to convince the least unattractive girl at the bar to go home with you. I was hoping for something a lot more exciting, some hotbed of activity like the coast of Florida. That's pretty much the reason why I always volunteered to get underway whenever the boat was going out for literally anything. It didn't hurt that because I was still new and not actually boat crew qualified, that all the extra stuff and time helped me with all my required knowledge, as well as making me look good in front of command. So that day, we were going to get underway to practice some BECCE drills, some basic boat crew stuff for me, and generally just spend most of the day out on the water making sure we were using some hours. It was a Saturday, so the command was nowhere in sight, and the OOD was a second-class boatswain mate named Rivard. He decided it was better to get a few of us out on the 47-foot motor lifeboat than just doing some sleep-inducing classroom training. So, the crew consisted of myself, who was a break-in, BM2 Rivard, acting engineer was a third-class MK named Ford, a chick BM3 named Brown, another non-rape break-in named Kovacs. All of them were pretty good guys and dependable sailors. So it was a good crew on a good day, with little wind and no predicted bad weather, even if it was unseasonably cold for November. What a lot of people don't seem to realize is that there's a lot more coastline out there considered haunted than they think. Hell, there's probably just as much of it out there as there are haunted houses or whatever. Between all the harbors and rocky coastal areas, think about it. If a house gets haunted because something bad happened and people died there, then what about all the countless lives lost in a watery horror over the centuries with downed vessels, battles, mutinies, pirating, storms, and everything else? One stretch of coast could potentially have seen more death and murder than a given area of the land it surrounds. There's no shortage of tall tales to be told if you can find an old salt talkative or drunk enough to really open up. Not all of them about the other side either. There have always been tales of things out in the deeper waters, everything from a kraken to serpents to mermaids and sirens. And the important thing about stories like those is that they were all based on some little bit of truth. A kraken can be replaced with a colossal squid, and the story wouldn't skip a beat. I'd heard stories about there being a place in an AOR that was supposedly a place where all of the above had happened. It was a small natural cove that wouldn't have been more than a mile or two square. Everyone at the station had heard something along those lines, but hardly anyone actually bought into it. Mostly, we just jokingly bring it up in a mock spooky voice when a crew was about to get underway. Just basic fucking around with each other. Nothing ever actually happened in the history of the area, and we didn't expect anything to, which is why BM2 Rivard decided we should live dangerously, as he put it, and head out that way for some of our training. The cove was a little ways out, about 45 minutes one way. On the ride out, we pretty much just joked around and had fun with going over some basic book knowledge. The BM2 was laid back like that. It was pretty chilly out, about 42 degrees with a water temp about the same or a little lower, so we were in out full dry suits, which made it a little harder to move around, but it did make sure we didn't have to worry about the chill in the air. Anyway, once we reached the mouth of the cove, Ford threw the livery off the side and made a mock scream for help. Looked like we'd started a man overboard drills. It was my job to maintain visual of the ring and keep shouting its location in relative degrees until the boat could swing around and come in for a pickup. But it was just a drill, so I was trying to have fun with it. So after about the 5th time I yelled out a position, I turned back to look at BM2 and say, "You get that yet?" in a sarcastic tone, but when I turned back around, the ring was gone. It just wasn't there anymore. Now, these things are designed to be seen. Not only is the ring bright orange, but it has a floating LED light set to flash so many times per second connected to it with a bit of bright yellow line. If you lose it for a second, it's really not hard to find again. Nor was the much wind at the time, so it couldn't have really gone very far from where it was. The water was pretty calm for the ocean, so after a few seconds of not being able to see the ring and not yelling out at any location, Kovacs comes over and asks what's up, if I was trying to piss someone off with not taking this seriously at all. So I tell him I lost the ring, and I shout back at BM2 that I lost visual on the ring. Then, after a few minutes, both Kovacs and I still can't find it. The rest of the crew comes up to see if we're blind or just R-worded, but they obviously can't find it either. I tell them I saw it perfectly 1 second, then when I turned around, I just lost visual completely. But they all thought I was lying, that I must have never had a visual and wanted to make myself look less bad if I said I was paying attention at one point. Even BM2 Rivard didn't seem to believe me, saying that life rings don't just sink, that they're actually made to do the exact opposite, and that I'd probably have to explain to the XPO why our 47 is missing a ring now. I called bullshit on that, but he didn't want to hear it, and I just wanted to get on with the training. I was pretty pissed at the fact that I was basically getting in trouble for lying, so I didn't really notice after the first slight change in the sky. Kovacs asked me if I noticed how the clouds seemed to be getting a bit darker as we went into the cove, but I told him there isn't supposed to be any rain or snow or anything, so it's probably just a little overcast that'll probably let up in a bit. I don't know, man. Isn't overcast normally more just gray? He had a point. The clouds did seem darker, more like a thunderhead in color, but every cloud was a mini thunderstorm. I told him he's just letting the stupid stories about this place get to him. What are you, some kid afraid of bedtime stories? Asking that kind of shut him up about it. But between the clouds and losing a life ring out of nowhere, I had to admit I might have been feeling a little creeped out as well. So anyway, we were in the cove with Ford and Brown having me practice working the tow bit, and Kovacs with BM2 going over the nav equipment and piloting the boat. The sky had stayed that unsettling blackish color, and I could feel a weird, I guess you just have to call it a feeling in the air. Like something wasn't quite right, but there was nothing obviously wrong at the same time. The only thing I could compare it to is if you've ever been standing outside during the eye of a storm. I saw Brown shiver a little and swore, following it up with a rhetorical question about wasn't it supposed to be a good weather today? Being one of the new guys, I didn't want to let that go. I always get ragged on, and I needed to give my share back when I had the chance. I didn't take you for being a damsel in distress type. You letting some clouds and scary stories get to you now? She shot me one of those sarcastic grimaces people give and shoves me in the arm. Just at that time, though, the engines jerked to a complete stop. Just as she shoved me, there was a heart-sinking grinding noise, and the sudden jerking of the boat mixed with the shove was almost enough to send me over the taffrail. The thing is, though, that while I was leaning over the rail, thinking I was about to go over, I could have sworn that I saw a face just under the water. It was so quick that I almost thought I didn't see anything, but I definitely saw what I knew was a pale face, with eyes as black as the clouds were becoming. I was taken aback and still staring into the water when Brown came over and grabbed my arm and asked if I was okay, and said we need to go meet up with BM2. I was a little shaky in my response, but now that my nerves were calming down from almost falling in, I realized I had just seen my own reflection in the water, and that it wasn't anything more than that. Mentally scolding myself for being so stupid and quick to assume, I went with Brown to muster up with everyone else. Ford had already gone down into the engine compartment to see what was going on, while the rest of us were in the cabin with BM2. So far, no one knew why the boat stalled, but there was some more good news to go with what we already knew. All of the electronics died when the engine went. Plotter, radios, everything. At first, I thought we were screwed, and I couldn't get in contact with the station. But I remembered that probably all of us had our cell phones on us, even if we weren't supposed to. So I asked the BM2 if he'd called in about our station out here yet, and sort of gave a short chuckle and told everyone to check their phones or anything else electronic we might have. Well, that sent an alarm through me, and I knew what I'd seen before I took my phone out. It was dead. Well, great. Super glad this is happening, I had to comment. BM2 told me to cut that shit and to make ready the anchor. He said that he'd probably just done an ops and position check less than 10 minutes before, so they won't even try to contact us for another half hour, which means it'll be up to a few hours before anyone gets out here to pick us up. I made my way forward to the bow and started bringing the anchor with some line. I toss the anchor over and start paying out line, and I heard what sounds like something swimming along the surface of the water. I stop at the line and do a quick look around me, and I only see small wakes around the boat but nothing else. No seal or anything like I expected. I'm starting to feel pretty eerie at this point, so I just want to finish anchoring and get back off the bow, when the line I'm holding is tugged from my hands. It was just a quickie jerky tug, enough to make me wonder what the hell just happened when the rest of the line starts getting pulled into the water very fast. It's going too fast, and I'm so freaked and confused that most of the rest of it's gone before I can even think to move. I managed to wrap the end of it around the Samson post and throw on a few figure eights when whatever was pulling us ran out of line. There was a sickening lurching noise as the entire boat got jerked bow first at a 45-degree angle downward. Once again, I almost went over. At that point, I'm like, fuck this, and scrambled my ass off the bow. But I did notice the Samson post is all bent to hell now before I'm off there. The sky's pretty much black now in the cove, but there's still daylight somehow. Kind of like the opposite of a sun shower. All I could think at the time was that they used to call sun showers the devil beating his wife, and what the hell they would call this. So I go into the survivors compartment where everyone's gathered, and I'm just in time to have missed Ford's rundown of the engines, but hear him complaining about us playing music at a time like this. Brown asked him what the hell he was going on about, that we didn't even have anything electronic working to play music with. But Ford was still going, bullshit. I know you were playing some kind of music. I can hear it down here in the engines. Just then, everyone noticed I was there, and BM2 wanted to know exactly what the fuck happened while I was up there. I told him exactly what fucking happened, and twice that day I was called a liar. Fuck it, I said. Let's go up there and I'll show you I'm not lying. And lo and behold, there was the post, all bent and messed up with barely any line left on board to secure the anchor. BM2 got a kind of worried look on his face that matched everyone else around me. I heard the sound of swimming again. This time I didn't turn to try to see anything. I just waited a second and asked if anyone else heard it at this time. But Ford cut off any response with loudly telling everyone he can still hear the goddamn music, like someone singing long notes, not even having much of a fucking tune. We all kind of look at each other for a second before Brown says, "MK3, there isn't any music. No one hears anything." Just as he starts to say bullshit again, wham, the boat rocked. We all look at each other, scared shitless. Wham again. We all come to the same conclusion and book it to hell back indoors to the survivor's compartment. As we were scrambling along the side of the boat, one more wham and Kovacs almost fell over. But Brown grabbed him and steadied him. Once we were all indoors, the pounding stopped. After a minute or two of silence, waiting for it to happen again, Kovacs says, "Okay, everyone realizes that there was something hitting us. Intentionally, right?" BM2 tells him to shut up and that we don't need anyone to make things worse right now. He does say there's clearly something up right now and that we need to take the right precautions. He told Ford to go up and check the anchor line and make sure it's still even a little secure, and for the rest of the group to prep some pyro. He's going to check the radios one more time, and when they still don't work, we'll need to send off some flares. So Brown, Kovacs, and I break out the pyro kit and start going over it all, making sure it's all still good. It obviously was. We just needed something to occupy ourselves. Brown asked me what I think is going on. I tell her I have no idea, but I've got the worst feeling right now. That things might a lot worse before they get better. You can feel it in the air. BM2 comes back and says everything's still shot just like you thought. He told me to go up there and get Ford, because it should not have taken that long to check online. I had to agree. He's been up there way too long unless something was up. I called his name as I was coming up to the bow, but when I got there, he wasn't up there. I thought that was weird, but that maybe he just went around on the other side as I was coming up. So I circled back around and checked for him on the fantail and didn't see him. I get into the survivor's compartment with everyone else and he isn't there. So I ask if he's in the engine room. BM2 asked me what I'm talking about. Didn't I find him on the bow? At that point, I realized things had just gotten worse and tell everyone to go topside because we might have a man overboard. We all rush up and start yelling his name and looking for any movement in the water. BM2 has the binoculars out and starts doing a search for Ford. After close to 15 minutes, we didn't find anything more than we had before we started searching. BM2 was clearly frustrated and pissed. Started blaming me for wasting everyone's time because he's not in the water. I tell him that there's nowhere else he could be because if he went into the engines, he would have seen him himself. And if he were in the cabin bridge, I would have seen him when I went around. He just continued going off, saying that Ford was wearing bright fucking orange and an inflatable PFD. He didn't just fucking sink. At that point, I remembered the anchor line and my stomach turned. I thought to myself, no, he didn't just sink. Not on his own. But BM2 just went on for the pyro saying something like, fuck this, and fired off a parachute flare. I was left standing there, putting things together in my head. The face I thought I saw, the anchor line being pulled away from me, the whatever it was ramming our hull, and the sound of something swimming. The same sound I realized then that I could still hear now. Something was going on here, and it was more than just ghost stories and weird feelings. Something was here with us. Something was in the water, and it wasn't exactly hiding. I snapped up what you all would refer to a basic flare, the kind they show in the movies that you just hold and wave around while it burns. I told the BM2 and everyone else to come with me over to the taffrail and just watch. I dropped the flare in the water so the burning end was facing us as it went. It went a bit more slow than I anticipated, but with a minute or so, we couldn't see the light from it anymore. Nothing. Quickly, I grabbed another one and did the same thing. Kovacs started to ask what I was doing, but I said to just shut up and watch, because the sound of swimming was still there. And then, just before the light faded, we saw a shadow swim over the light. It was big enough to eclipse almost the entire time the flare was sinking just by swimming by. We all backed the fuck up and went down into the compartment. Everyone was scared, but BM2 looked like he was scared shitless, like his skin had turned the same shade as a piece of drawing paper. He just kept whispering, "We can't be here. We have to go. We need to leave. We can't be here anymore." And other things similar to that. I didn't disagree with him either. The first thing I thought of to do was to cut the anchor line. I'd rather drift aimlessly than have a physical tie to whatever was down there, not to mention continue to be a sitting duck. BM2 had clearly gone bye-bye, so I told Kovacs and Brown what I planned to do and for them to sit tight. I'd be right back. I only had my small boat crew knife with me, so I knew it might take a minute or two to completely cut the anchor loose. So I went up to the bow as fast as I could and went to working cutting us loose from whatever was down there with us. I was about halfway through the line when wham, we were hit again. Fuck. It's like whatever's down there knows when we're vulnerable. Wham again. And I still had a way to go before I was done. Wham. They were getting more frequent now and more forceful. That last one rocked me back on my heels. Almost done now. Just a few seconds. Wham. Wham. 2 right in a row. Fuck. Almost there. Wham. Again, but I was done now. We were loose and I could book it back to the compartment. Just need to make it past the side of the boat and wham. I was in the water. 3rd time's a charm. As soon as I was in, I realized I could hear music now too. It sounded like someone singing long, tuneless notes, like if a person were to try and sing a whale song. When I saw it, I was out of my mind terrified. It was something just below the surface, not quite breaking the water. The only coherent thought I can remember right then was confident, and in hindsight, that was because whatever was coming towards me seemed to actually be confident. It was taking long, serpentine strokes getting to me. Again, in hindsight, things like a shark or anything else wouldn't take its time. It would go right for you. Whatever this was plain. After a second, I was clear-headed enough to start thinking, please be a shark. Oh God, please be a shark. Or porpoise or a shark. Oh God, what is it? It was about a meter away from me when I felt something strong pull me while I remained helpless and screaming. And then I was back on the deck of the 47, soaking wet but alive. Apparently, when the pounding started again, Brown and Kovacs came up to make sure I was okay and saw me fall in. They were just quick enough to pull me back up before whatever was in the water got to me. And I did make sure to ask them if they saw the same thing I did. They both got real quiet but didn't say no. After that, we all hunkered down in the survivor's compartment. BM2 looked a little bit better, but he was still clearly out of it. It turns out that last pounding actually did us a favor and ended up inadvertently pushing us towards the mouth of the cove, and not long after, that the rescue crew found us. We were all shaken pretty badly, and not really able to tell the rescue crew where MK3 Ford was. All we could do was convince them that he was not in the cove, not to go back into it looking for him. The ride back was quiet, uneventful, and pensive. I did manage to ask BM to revert something, but I noticed he was back with us again. I asked him what it was he saw that made him lose it like he did. He looked me dead in the eyes without wavering. He said when whatever it was swam with a flare, he saw its fin. Only it wasn't a fin, because fins aren't long and slender. Fins don't end in 5 fingers, like whatever he saw had. And we never found any trace of Ford. B14, staying over at a friend's house, trying to fall asleep after playing Nintendo. All lights off, only moonlight. Get up and sneak to bathroom to pee. Hear something downstairs, must be friend's sister or mom at 2 a.m. Come back and get in bed. Leave door open. Hear sound on stairs. Watch doorway. Sound stops, get really scared for unknown reason. Eyes glued to stairs through banister. Very clearly see black silhouettes of the upper half of a person crawling on all 4s upstairs. Absolute terror. Cannot move. Tingling sensation all through the body. Try to call out, but too scared. Manage raspy. Help. Silhouette stops moving instantly. Even more terrified. Eyes hurting from staring so hard, heart about to explode. Room is cold. Can't move. Hear friends stir on top bunk. Click. Flashlight from top bunk turns on. Points at stairs exactly where looking. Absolutely nothing there. Friend says, "Did you see it?" Can barely respond. "Yes, me too." Both lay in silence for 20 minutes. Get up, turn on light. What do? Was someone there? I don't know. Let's tell parents. They will never believe us. Told them anyway the next day. Don't believe us. Be 3 years later, friend is at my house for stayover. Sitting on front porch. House on top of hill with gravel driveway. Surrounded by woods. Talk about shadow figure on stairs. Friend says he saw it a couple more times. No way, Jose. We were just stupid kids. No, really. Hear gravel shuffling driveway. Both of us freeze and look. Too dark to see. Get absolutely terrified again. Friend grabs sleeve. He's there. Friend points to the middle of the driveway past bushes. Silhouette of a man's head can be seen just above bushes. Absolute paralysis horror. Friend gripping arm. Car drives by on road below driveway. Headlights show us nothing's there. Relax. We're seeing things, right? Look at friend. Look of horror. Friend has tears on his face. Dude, are you okay? No. And I'm too scared to continue story. Night X. Continued. Friend's face full of fear, but still can't move. Dude. He releases death grip on my arm. Reaches for handrail to get up. Loud sound of gravel from directly below us. Look down. Graded metal stairs. Pitch blackness. Both of us frozen with fear again. I literally cannot lift my feet from the stairs. Feel cold air coming from under the stairs. Goosebumps. Trying to force myself to get the fuck out with all of my mental might. Feel like legs weigh 1,000 pounds. Friend stops breathing. Me too. Can't breathe. Sound of gravel again below us. Managed to reach hand in pocket for lighter. Almost drop lighter into darkness below 3 times. Trembling hand. Friend looks at me shaking. Head. No, don't do it. Hold lighter down near the darkness below the stairs. Friend death grips arm and stares down with me. Strike fail. See nothing. Strike fail. Nothing. Strike fail. OMG. Saw 2 reflections, but am blinded by sparks. Friend jumps up and pulls that shirt almost off. Move! Legs work again. Up and into the house. Slam door. Friend clutching chest. Stumble falling into bedroom to close door. Saw eyes. Saw the eyes. Call the police. Not sure if he saw eyes, but now feel like he did see eyes. Friend in full panic mode. No cell phone. It's like 1996. Only phone in room, it's modern. Bong, metal stairs stepped on. Friend calls out, help! Metal stairs, bong, bong, bong away. 10 seconds later. Driveway gravel. Kick twice. Oh my god, what the fuck was that? Get guns. Wait for 2 hours and hear nothing. Still scariest thing that has ever happened to me. Not sure if friend gets just crazy, but Anon saw something that night under those stairs and in that driveway. Tyler Mountain is creepy, guys. Shit you not, there's nowhere creepier in the USA. Last October, me and 5 friends rent a cabin for the weekend in the middle of nowhere. Plan to alternate between being high and drunk the entire time. We are all stupid excited Friday when we arrive. We all rode crammed together in one car. Get everything set up for a campfire in the woods and get wasted. Friend, Jay, is getting over an ex, crying like a bitch, and we all try to cheer him up. We all tell drunk stories. Near midnight, we are all about a 10-minute hike away from cabin, which itself is a good 20-minute drive from a real road. We let the campfire go low, and me and another friend, S, are trying to get it started again while Jay is almost passed out behind me, drunk blabbering. Jay goes quiet all of a sudden. Turn around and see Jay is standing beside a girl in a dress. No shoes. Remember, in the middle of the cold-ass woods in October, Jay is staring at her. He gets out his phone and calls someone. Hangs up after a couple seconds. Girl is just looking at us while he does this. I ask her if she's lost. She moves her head side to side. Not a shake, but like ear to ear to left shoulder, then right ear to right shoulder. She keeps doing it. Jay is freaked out. Looks totally sober. S goes to Jay and she tries to calm him down. I ask the girl if she wants to come back to the cabin with us. She says yes. Seems more normal now. The other 2 friends, K and M, pack up our stuff and walk with Strange Girl while me, S, and Jay walk ahead. Jay says Strange Girl looks exactly like his ex. Thought it was her. He called his ex to see if she would pick up. She didn't. He is convinced it is her and she is fucking with him. I tell him the girl's probably some crazy religious guy's daughter or something that just runs around the woods for fun. Really, I thought she was homeless. Jay is kinda convinced. Wants to go back and talk to her. He seems drunk again and it isn't hard to get him to go to bed instead. Me and S talk bullshit till the rest of us get back. K and M get back. No Strange Girl. They said Strange Girl would alternate between sounding perfectly normal, talking about being at school or working at some restaurant, then start doing strange gestures and waiting for us to respond. M asked her how she got in the woods, and the girl said, "Hey, down." She started saying that to everything. M and K stopped talking to her. When they got close to the cabin, They looked around and she was about 50 feet behind them. They walked in without guessing she was still out there. We all talk about how strange it is. Eventually, we all go to sleep. I wake up. It's still dark. Jay is making a racket messing with the supplies. Look around and see a strange girl standing to his side. Her dress is covered in dirt, scabs on her knees and arm. I get up and ask Jay what the fuck. He says he heard a noise outside. Went to check it out. Didn't see anything but noticed 2 tires on the car were flat. Tells me he has some tire repair stuff in the supplies. What about her, I ask him. Strange girl was outside by the trees. He invited her back. I want to tell him he is a dumb fuck and she probably popped the tires, but she's right there, so I just give him the stink eye. He finds the tire repair gel and a pump. I say I'll help him, and we go outside. I tell him how strange the girl was to K and M. He blows it off and says she seems nice. You just miss your ex, you dumb fuck. We get to the car and I see the 2 flats. Find a nail in each one. We start patching them. S comes out while we work. Says she woke up because strange girl tried to sleep beside her. She probably saw K and M together and wanted to make a matching pair, Jay suggested. I think that's what it was though, like she was trying to learn. She talks to us while we wait for the tire stuff to dry. She also thinks strange girl's homeless and we should make her leave. Jay vehemently denies. Says she'll make him not feel like a 5th wheel. You'll be worse than that when she slits your fucking throat. I wouldn't do that. Strange girl is at the door to the cabin. Overheard us, I guess. I apologize for talking about her. Says we were joking. Says she knows it's a joke. Why is the chicken dead? Why? Because it crosses the road. She makes a weird sound, like a high-pitched snort, then smiles at us. Her teeth are blindingly white. She says she'll be back. Walks back into the woods. We all go into the cabin. It is a wreck. Furniture slammed all over. K and M are gone. S says it was fine when she was in there 20 minutes ago. We look around the cabin. No sign of K and M. We clean up the cabin, but one of the chairs is snapped in half. K and M come back. They're all scratched up and scared. They say that strange girl started flipping out, so they ran out front and didn't see anyone, so they ran to the woods. They heard weird shit, so they came back. There was no way they walked outside without seeing them. There was only the one door to the cabin. We all just sit there for a while, thinking that shit out. Strange girl comes back sometime later, covered in more dirt and maybe blood. She's dragging a dead deer, neck ripped out. Casually, she says, I found you guys some food. Lying in the woods. Jay asks her where she went. Hid the keys. I ask her if she means Jay's car keys. She says yes, still casual. I ask her why. She says so we won't leave early. She wants us to stay. We all just stare. She drags the deer with her and goes towards a tree to gut it. I notice her foot got really fucked up. She is basically walking on her ankle. S and K are having panic attacks at this point, screaming and crying, and we try to calm them down. We sit in silence while strange girl strips the deer and cuts off strips from them. She waddles back, asks us to make a fire to cook the deer. I say okay and do it. Everyone else refuses to even talk to her. I make the fire, and she cooks the deer by dangling the pieces in her hand over the fire. I say nothing. Very awkward. Her staring at me. I notice that everyone behind me is whispering. Strange girl is singing while she cooks. It's a weird lullaby, I know, because my mom used to sing it up. Scoop you up, shush you round, all the frowns go upside down. I try to smoothly step away from SG and towards group. Jay says he has a spare key to the car and that we should get the tires on and leave. Strange girl is staring at us. I have a plan, but we all have to eat the deer. We all eat a SG deer strip. I have to hold back vomit thinking of her holding them like that. I tell strange girl how good they are. She smiles at me. It's too wide. I tell her we will need another deer for tomorrow. She smiles even wider. She said she'll go get some. She is walking more normally now. Still kind of a march instead of a walk. I sit there, watching her walk away. As soon as she is out of sight, everyone is running around, tripping and dropping shit. K and M pack up the trunk while me, J, and S inflate the tires and get them back out of the car. By the time we are almost done, it's been about as long as she has gone last time. Weird smell in the air. Everyone is crammed in the car. Girls are crying/whimpering again. Hear a thump when Jay pulls out. We were in such a hurry we forgot to get the jack out from under the car. Jay runs back and gets it. Almost falls on his ass getting back in the car. He goes top speed for his shitty car. Doesn't slow down until we hit an actual road. We don't talk about strange girl ever again, except for once when we were all drunk together. S says she still dreams about her. I had finally stopped thinking of all of this until last week when I asked my mom where she got that lullaby from. She told me she made it up when I was a baby. Me, bro, and close friend go on a 3-week hike/camping trip in glorious Pennsylvania mountains. Have trips/trails planned out and all the gear packed. Always bring guns. I take AK pistol and Glock 22. Bro has Nugget and 357. Friend has Set Me, 308 and 1911. Get to first marked camp for the night. Arrive late. Setting up camp in dark moonlight, very creepy. See large bonfire off in the distance. Ignore it since we're not that far from another trail. Camp set up and ready to make a fire. Hear loud groaning followed by animal screeches. Coming from area of large fire. Goes from screeches to bloody screams. That doesn't sound good. Bro says we should go see it in case it was an animal attack. Creep up with rifles. Get about 150 yards away from large fire and see a group of about 40 plus people, all circled around a bunch of deer tied up. Everyone is in a dark red cloak. Some are drinking blood from the deer, others are stabbing them. Hear chanting. We all look at each other. It's a satanic cult. Quickly and quietly, go back to our camp and tear the fucker down. Move camp as far as we could to go to where the bonfire is a speck off in the distance. Sleep in a large leafy tree, taking shift sleeping. Morning comes. Last night fucking sucked. Didn't get to cook last night and we didn't plan on cooking once we were up. We all agreed to quietly go check out their camp, make sure it's safe to continue our trip. Leave gear tied up in a tree. Get back to our old campsite and slowly approach the cult site. Fucking blood everywhere. Several dead bodies, hog-tied and fucking ripped to shreds. Pentagrams everywhere around each deer body and on every tree circling around their camp. Mark down site to report. Hear footsteps off in the distance. See one man about 80 feet away in one of the cloaks from last night. Starts chanting some satanic shit. Pulls a bottle from his cloak and starts throwing what appears to be blood. We all start running. Hear him shouting, "We will find you." Get back to camp, grab our shit, and run to one of the male, highly traveled trails just to avoid shit. Main, highly traveled trails just to avoid shit. Anyway, get back to main trail. Had to bag of rifles. Normally this trail is lit up on a Friday afternoon. There should be people everywhere. Not a fucking soul to be found. Something is not right. Travel on main trail trying to get to our next checkpoint where a ranger post is. Halfway there. Man, you smell that? Smell of burning skin/fur/hair. See dark smoke off the trail a little. Well, this is fucking great. More cult shit, more blood everywhere. Dead bear, half on fire burning in a way. See a few cultists trailing behind us. Brother is getting a skittish, takes Nugget out of bag and fires 3 rounds in their direction. They run off. We get about 3/4 of the way to the ranger post. Hear screaming. Sounds like a person. Fuck, I'm done with this shit. AK comes out. Glock gets loaded with 22 round mag and plus ammo. Hear lady screaming and calling for help. Find her. She is tied to a fucking tree. She's all bloody and bruised. Untie her. Say, come with us. Ranger post isn't far. Sees ranger post. Thank God. Truck is outside. Means someone is there. Start yelling, we need help. 2 rangers come running out with guns drawn. What the fuck faces on all of us? They see the girl and ask what happened. Explain the whole cult thing. Rangers say they know but aren't able to locate them. Have teams out looking. They say all the trails got closed down to 5 hikers going missing. Girl is one of the hikers. Give rangers the location of the camps we saw and say cult is following us. Rangers say we have to spend the night due to the cult cutting down trees on the driving path. Fucking great. Nighttime comes and rangers get a fire going outside. 1 in the morning. Get a call over the radio that one of the ranger teams has found their site. 3 rangers come back from the post. Hear them talking. They found one of the missing hikers dead, missing his hands with cut marks everywhere. We ended up getting flown to a station in one of the towns the next day. Asked a shit ton of questions by police. Guns got taken away for 7 days due to not being allowed on the trails. Tried to avoid that trail area from now on. Where in Pennsylvania is this? Did the girl reward you with S-word? Please tell me you at least exchanged numbers. About 120 miles from Bake Oven Knob. Any Pennsylvania K-Amandos want to go? Planning a winter trip. It's beautiful. Girl looked to be around 14 to 16 and was beyond terrified. Her friend's brother was the one they found dead. And all right, guys, that wraps up some strange 4chan stories. What did you think about these stories in the videos? I thought they were pretty good. So did you think they were good? I thought they were strange, given the title of the video. I thought they were strange. I thought they were entertaining. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you had a good time. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy other videos on this channel. So go check out some more 4chan stories or some Reddit stories or some icebergs or some Reddit users or 4chan users. I've got a lot of series going on this channel, and I'm sure you'll like one of them. So check them out. Subscribe, like the video. It helps a ton. You're the best. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you made it to the end, yeah, you're just awesome. And this is Snook, and I'll see you next time. Bye.